Hello everyone, welcome to another Darktable landscapes video. We're going to process this shot of some misty trees near Rydal Water in the Lake District, and I want to go for a really dramatic, almost kind of Lord of the Rings style look for this one. Got some really nice sunlight through the mist. We can't really see it in the unprocessed raw, but with a bit of processing I think we can really pull it out, make for a nice dramatic shot. So let's get going. I think the first thing I want to do is touch out some distracting elements. A couple of rocks here in the lake and this little fenced off area to stop the deer eating a young sapling. So I'm going to get rid of these and we'll do the rest afterwards. So retouch. Oops, I'll zoom in on here. And we will grab a shape. We're in healing mode. And we'll pull this, say, over here. Pull in our kind of area of effect. If I could grab it. Maybe zoom out. There we go. Let's just turn off the shape. That's pretty good already, actually. I think if you weren't looking for it, you wouldn't see that. That's fine. Let's get rid of this one. So we'll click a new path. Turn our shape preview back on. And we'll go about here. Again, pretty good. If you weren't looking for it, you wouldn't know. And then finally this one here. It's only small. I could probably just use an ellipse for this actually, but there we go. Again, pull in the area of effect. We don't want to lose these reflections in the water. Okay, next steps. Let's do the basics first, lens correction. There we go. And crop. I think I'm going to go for kind of a almost cinematic crop. I'm going to go for a widescreen crop. There's nothing much going on here at the top that's vital to the image. I always say to students at my photography workshops that composition is a subtractive process. It's not what you can squeeze in, it's what you can exclude, and cropping is a good way to do that. So crop that out, give it a good kind of cinematic style ratio. That's fine. And let's go sigmoid, because our histogram is very, very squeezed here, so we'll give it as much contrast as we can. There we go, that's instantly better already. I think we're okay. Maybe drag in the white. We're going to be pushing contrast a fair bit in this shot, so we'll push that in. And we'll do color calibration for our white balance, which isn't too bad. Yes, let's leave it at that for now. We can always come back. It may be a little cool, but we'll see what there is some warmth in this edge here, and it's kind of going to cooler here. The sun was coming over a hill about 11 o'clock in the morning, where normally I've kind of made my way back home by then. But this was a particularly good day with this mist hanging around till well into the morning. So that's all fine. Let's go for color balance RGB. Pop in some vibrance and even more contrast. That's great. Normal stepped kind of saturation in the perceptual saturation grading section. And then let's see what we can do here with the brilliance. We want some glow. As I say, I want to go for drama in this shot. As far as I can see, Gandalf the White could come popping out of here any moment. So let's give it some glow, and then maybe just drop the global brilliance. A lot of this processing is just kind of playing around and seeing what works for you. And as it's non-destructive, you can always go back and tweak it afterwards. Let's accentuate this there's kind of ready-made split toning from the sun coming over from this side and it being cooler on here. So I'm going to give a very tiny little touch of blue to the shadows. I may give a tiny touch of chroma saturation to the highlights, not too much because it's quickly looks unnatural. That's too much chroma in the shadows, that's noticeably purple. Okay, that's better. I want to maybe darken this top area more. And I think this is a converted DNG. One of the things Fujifilm users sometimes have to do if they were previously Lightroom users is convert the RF files to DNGs using software like Iridiant X Transformer, which does a better job of demosaicing RF files than Adobe Camera Raw. So this is one of those DNGs. So some of the settings kind of aren't on by default in Darktable. So let's see. That's too much exposure, I think, but we'll have a bit. And I'm going to make a new instance. And I want to kind of darken this area here. Use a gradient. We'll roll in the fade. Give it some curve and turn it to the side. And then we'll drop this. There we go. I like it. Okay. And we could maybe possibly do that a little bit down here. I don't want to lose this mistiness here though. There's not much going on in this little patch of the lake. So I could maybe look at doing another one here. So I'll put top darkening. Let's make a new instance and see how we go. So we'll pop in the gradient here. Just kind of wrapping it around, almost like a vignette. Let's drop our exposure a little. So before and after. I think this may be one. This bottom one is a little too dark. There we go. It's more like it. And let's see if we can accentuate this mistiness a bit more. So I will use haze removal, which by default naturally removes haze and will negativize it. I think that's a word. It is now. Let's have a look at what that makes. I like it here. Don't like it so much here where we start to lose this nice tree just kind of really throwing rays. So again, another gradient mask I think in order. Let's go that way. We'll wrap it around. Maybe lower the opacity a little bit. And then what we can also do, let's try an average blend mode here. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Just evens things out a bit. Okay. It's a subtle change, but that's the kind of change we like. Lots of subtle changes add up to a kind of a nice uniform big change, if you like. Yeah, okay. Let's have a look at some colour. Let's try, as a Fuji user, I always like to make use of some Fuji style. So we go to colour lookup table, and let's try the Velvia emulation. It's quite nice. Maybe Velvia is very saturated with a Pruvia. There we go. That's more of a middle of the road style. Quite nice. I quite like the cooling effect here. That's pretty good. Okay. Let's vignette it. Basic, no saturation and just a simple oval. And we'll pull in the ratio here. Quite nice, that makes it even more dramatic still. Switch the dithering to 16-bit. And so I was turning off the wrong thing there. Maybe pull it out a little bit and to avoid darkening this mist too much at the top. There we go. Yeah, that's good. And for some reason, OBS Studio completely failed to record audio for this section, so I'm just adding standard sharpening settings. So lens deburst soft. I didn't want to overdo the sharpening on what's already kind of a misty shot. Just bringing out the detail in the trees is the main thing really. And then a normal 5% white frame, which I add to pretty much all my images. And then finally local contrasts, just to bring out the branches on the trees a little bit more. At this point, we can see that the mist had kind of got a bit grey rather than being a little bit more white. So I went back to my colour balance RGB module, increased the highlights brilliance, and then I went to the sigmoid module again and just pulled back my white point, target white point, as it was still looking a little bit kind of grey and faded rather than nicely glowing. So here's the before and after. A relatively flat shot, as most raw finals are when they're straight out of the camera. The mist making it even more so. And then really pulled that back out, added some drama, as always, my favourite word at the moment it seems, with those exposure gradients and local contrast adjustments. Generally made it a much more impactful image. So here's the final image. I hope you like it, and I hope you've learned some things you can apply to your own images as well. Thanks as always for liking and subscribing, and I'll catch you on the next one.